Madhya Pradesh by presenting him a sapling. Thank you, sir. I request Shri Vivek Saxena, Secretary, Pocso Committee, High Court of Madhya Pradesh, to welcome my Lord Shri Justice Siraj Arvinder
The organization members, Superintendent Child Care Institutions, Shaurya Dal members, SJPUs, Women Safety Cell members, Urja Help Desk members, Shaurya Didis, the officers from Forensic Science Laboratory, public prosecutors, resource persons, nodal officers of concerned department, DWCD members, secretariat members and officers of High Court Juvenile Justice Committee, and members of the media. Namaskar, good morning to all of you. पॉक्सो एक्ट ने इस साल अपने 10 वर्ष पूरे किए हैं और इस तरह से पॉक्सो एक्ट भी किशोरावस्था की दहलीज पर है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट जुवेनाइल जस्टिस कमेटी के मार्गदर्शन पर उन्मूलन के सचेत प्रयास किए जा सकें। हम कोविड महामारी के व्यवधान के बाद बहुत दिनों के बाद इस मंथन के लिए यहाँ एकत्रित हो पाए। कोविड महामारी के बारे में बालकों के मनोविज्ञान पर बहुत गंभीर असर पड़ा है और यूनिसेफ ने इस बारे में एक शोध पत्र भी जारी किया है। मैं अपने परिवार के एक अनुभव को आपके बीच में बांटना चाहता हूं, जहां पर कोविड के दौरान एक बालक और उसके माता पिता एक फ्लैट में बंद थे और माता पिता दोनों अपने अपने कमरों से ऑनलाइन दिन भर रात भर काम किया करते थे। वो बालक इतना उद्वेलित और उत्तेजित हो गया कि उसने एक दिन जब वे भोजन कर रहे थे उन दोनों के लैपटॉप और मोबाइल जाके संडास में डाल दिए। तो बाल मन पर कोविड के दौरान बहुत गंभीर असर पड़ा है, जिस बारे में यूनिसेफ का ये शोध है, और उनका सहज और स्वाभाविक विकास बुरी तरह से अवरुद्ध हुआ है। निश्चित तौर पर इससे उपजी हुई जो मनोवैज्ञानिक और सामाजिक समस्याएं हैं वो समय के गर्भ में हैं और आने वाले दिनों में हमें उन चुनौतियों का भी सामना करना पड़ सकता है। जो इस दौरान के आंकड़े हैं वो ये बताते हैं कि जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट में 2020 में 8,485 प्रकरण दर्ज हुए, जो 2021 में बढ़कर 12,863 हो गए। 2022 में अभी तक उपलब्ध आंकड़ा 9,582 केसेस का है। इसी तरह से पॉक्सो एक्ट में 2020 में 6,540 प्रकरण दर्ज हुए, जो 2021 में बढ़कर 6,921 हो गए और अभी तक का आंकड़ा इस वर्ष का 52-54 का है, 5254। तो ये जो डेटा का ऊर्ध्वगामी बढ़ता ग्राफ है, ये ग्राफ हमारे माथे पर भी चिंता की लकीरों को गहरा करता है। हमारी समाज व्यवस्था कितनी संवेदनशील है, ये इस बात से पता चलता है कि हम निरीह और निर्बल के साथ किस तरह व्यवहार करते हैं। ये बालक जो निरीह हैं और निर्बल हैं, वे निरीह और निर्बल तो हैं पर वे हमारा भविष्य भी है और हर एक बालक में अनंत संभावनाएं छिपी हुई हैं। किसी कवि ने अपनी दार्शनिक कविता में ये लिखा था कि बालक ने कंकड़ डालकर ताल को कपा दिया, बालक ने ताल को नहीं अनंत काल को कपा दिया। तो इस संभावना का जो की दार्शनिक अभिव्यक्ति इस कविता में कवि ने की है। लेकिन जब हमारे कानून निर्माताओं ने जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट को अमल में लाने का प्रयास किया तो उन्होंने धारा 11 के रूप में एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण धारा उसमें समाहित की और मुझे लगता है ये अपने तरह का बहुत अनूठा कानून है, जहां पर हर उस व्यक्ति से, चाहे वो पुलिस विभाग का हो, चाहे वो न्यायालय का हिस्सा हो, जब भी कोई इस बालक उसकी अभिरक्षा में रहता है तो उससे उसी तरह के व्यवहार की कानून अपेक्षा करता है जैसे कि वे उसके माता पिता हों। कानून में इस तरह का प्रावधान पहली बार किया गया है। तो ये कोई सिर्फ कारुणिक वक्तव्य नहीं है कि हमको उनको इस तरह का व्यवहार देना चाहिए। ये कानून भी, हमारे जो संविधान के तहत बनाया गया कानून है, वो भी हम पर ये जिम्मेदारी देता है कि हम उन बालकों के साथ उस तरह का व्यवहार करें। संविधान की धारा का अनुच्छेद 39 ये कहता है कि बालकों को स्वतंत्र और गरिमामय वातावरण में स्वस्थ विकास के अवसर और सुविधाएं दी जाएं और बालकों और अल्पवय व्यक्तियों की शोषण से तथा नैतिक और आर्थिक परित्याग से रक्षा की जाए। आज और कल के दोनों सत्र 4 तकनीकी सत्रों में विभक्त किए गए हैं और विशेषज्ञ इसमें हमारे प्रतिभागियों को संबोधित करेंगे। विषयों को इस तरह से चुना गया है कि और इनके रिहैबिलिटेशन के बारे में क्या प्रभावशाली कदम उठाए जा सकते हैं और इनको उठाए जाने में क्या कमियां रही हैं, उनको रेखांकित किया जा सके। और इन सभी सत्रों के साथ साथ ग्रुप डिस्कशंस भी हैं, जिसमें प्रतिभागी अपने विचारों को व्यक्त करेंगे और उस मंथन से जो निकलेगा उसका सभी लोग मिलकर सामूहिक रूप से विचार करेंगे। उसके आधार पर हमारा नया स्टेट एक्शन प्लान बनाया जाएगा। जो पिछला स्टेट एक्शन प्लान बना था वो 2018 और 19 में बना था और उसकी कोविड की बाधाओं के बावजूद हम लोग समीक्षा करते रहे हैं और उस समीक्षा के आधार पर बहुत सारे लक्ष्य हम लोगों ने हासिल किए हैं। लेकिन अब समय है कि उन लक्ष्यों को जो हमने हासिल किया है उसका मूल्यांकन किया जाए और नए लक्ष्य हासिल किए जाए। तो मुझे आशा है कि सारे प्रतिभागी निसंकोच अपनी बात रखेंगे और एक सार्थक चर्चा करेंगे, जिससे उस सार्थक चर्चा से हम वे रास्ते निकाल सकें जो हमारे सामने आने वाली बाधाओं को हटा सकें। मैं आप सबका फिर से इस कार्यक्रम में स्वागत करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
Shri Samresh Singh, Secretary, Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Madhya Pradesh, to introduce the launch of the website and elucidate its feature.
May I? Thank you, my lord. As it allows the visitors to browse information in both Hindi and English language. The new website is interactive and gives better access to circulars, orders, reports, publications, schemes, important national and international documents, guidelines, important judgments, child-centering acts and rules. The website also contains a dashboard to provide easy access to the data of juvenile justice boards and child welfare committees functional in Madhya Pradesh regarding their cases, disposal and new pendency on a quarterly basis. Also, in order to have a two-way dialogue with the visitors of the website, a feedback and suggestion column has been provided. The website will address the issue of non-availability of forms prescribed in the juvenile justice rules, which will now be accessible in easily downloadable formats to be used by the stakeholders in the field. Amongst the new feature, the site contains integrated social media buttons for Facebook, Twitter and YouTube to foster improved communication with juvenile justice stakeholders. We will be constantly updating our content with more and more helpful information, articles, standard operating procedures, announcement and success stories in the form of case studies. We hope you will find the new website with a fresh look and easy to access information, and we also wish to establish this portal as a source of information for those who visit our site. Thank you.
UNICEF MP to kindly address the gathering.
Justice of the High Court of Madhya Pradesh, dignitaries on the dais, honorable judges in the auditorium, ladies and gentlemen, namaste, good morning. Greetings to all of you who have come from different parts of Madhya Pradesh for this consultation this morning. Indeed, it gives me a great pleasure to congratulate you for the significant strides that the state of Madhya Pradesh has made in its efforts in prioritizing and ensuring a safe and protective environment for the children in the state. Already the launch of this website will provide an opportunity for the whole world to see what we are doing in the state. So congratulations once again for the launch of the website. Collaboration between the judiciary, the Department of Women and Child Development, the MP Police, and strategic partners has not only provided the opportunity to put in place effective infrastructure for the protection of children, but continues to strengthen dialogue and measures to improve the quality and acceleration of delivery of services for the well-being, for the protection and the achievement of the rights of children in the state. The efforts of the Juvenile Justice Committee, led by Justice Sujoy Paul, focusing on both prevention and timely rehabilitation of children in vulnerable situations goes a long way in mitigating the otherwise lifelong adverse effects on the growth, development, and performance of children who have been violated by sexual violence. While child sexual abuse is one of the most horrific child rights violations, it is important to recognize that in most situations, it does not happen in isolation. Children faced with other multiple vulnerabilities, including child marriage, including child labor, trafficking, cybercrime, violence in the home, in the environment, physical and psychological abuse, are often direct targets for sexual abuse. This, therefore, extends the harm for which these children have to undergo. It then becomes manifold. While a lot of focus is rightfully given to the girl child, it is important to continue to pay attention to both boys and girls. In conversations with adolescents, in one of the joint programs that UNICEF has with the Municipal Corporation of Bhopal, that is the Safe Cities Initiatives, many boys have vocalized and have spoken about the abuse experiences that they have gone through and the trauma that it has caused in their lives. This is well known to the families in which they come from, and it is also clear that some of the perpetrators are within that household. And these facts are corroborated by a study done by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in 2007. And so this is an important reason why we should focus on both boys and girls when addressing situations of child abuse. Ladies and gentlemen, while we cannot limit violence against children to data, it is important to recognize statistical evidence to enable us to understand the magnitude of the problem so that we can put in place appropriate mechanisms. The launch of the website is a clear indication that we will be able to access real-time data on what's happening in our state and in the various districts. So I'll highlight just a few of them that have come up. And as per the National Crime Records Bureau, that is 2021, this
JDC, Honorable Justice Sri Susrut Arvind Dharmadhikari ji, all the Honorable Justice sitting before us, respected dignitaries, and respected Miss Margaret Gowda, Chief of Field Office, UNICEF, Madhya Pradesh. I thank Honorable Justice Sujoy Paul
for inviting me in 2 days state consultation and implementation of Pocso Act 2012, which is the legal time. It is evident from the fact that most offences against children happen in the known places by the relatives, friends, neighbors of the family. We as a human being live in different kind of so-called relationship within the family and around the family. We are here in the role of father, mother, uncle, friends and stranger, etc. in the society. We have created a limited space like family and neighborhood. Most of the offences are caused by known persons.
Honorable Shri Justice Ravi Malimet, Chief Justice High Court of Madhya Pradesh, Honorable Shri Justice Sheel Nagu, Administrative Judge, Honorable Shri Justice Sujay Paul, Chairman Juvenile Justice Committee, Mr. Ashok Shah, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Women and Child Development, Ms. Margaret Kabra, Chief of Field Office, UNICEF Bhopal, brother and sister judges present here, Registrar General High Court of Madhya Pradesh, Principal District Judge Jabalpur, Member Secretary MPS Slsa, Additional Director MPS JA, Officers of the Registry, Officers of MPS JA, Judicial Officers, Member of the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Officers of the Government of Madhya Pradesh, Officers from Jabalpur Administration and Police, distinguished guests, representatives from print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. It is a proud privilege to share the dais with Honorable the Chief Justice for the state level consultation on issues related to the increasing sensitivity and implementation of Pocso Act 2012. Being the chairperson of the Pocso Committee of the High Court of Madhya Pradesh, it is indeed a pleasure to have you all here today in Manthan for effective implementation of the Pocso Act 2012. The regrettably high incidences of violence against children are a sad comment on the state of affairs in the society we live in, which all too often is hidden in the shadows. There is significant evidence that violence and abuse can affect the child's physical and mental health in the short and longer term, impairing their ability to learn and socialize and impacting their transition to adulthood, which with adverse consequences later in life. Too many people turn a blind eye, and for too many children lack the moral and means to speak out, to tell a trusted adult or to find a safe space. These incidences of sexual abuse of children had not only harmed individual children but also undermined the very fabric of the society. To cater this menace, our legislature passed the Protection of Children from Sexual Offence Act 2012, intending to protect children from offences of sexual assault, abuse and pornography. The Pocso Act provides for establishing a special Pocso court for the trial of such offences and matters conducted therewith. The said Act prescribes rigorous punishments up to capital punishment. The Act also made provisions for avoiding the re-victimization of the child during the course of investigation and trial. Thus prescribes child-friendly court procedures for the trial. The Act sets a gender-neutral tone for the legal framework and does not distinguish between survivors and perpetrators of child sexual abuse on the ground of gender. Further, the Act prohibits disclosure of the victim's identity in any form.
High Court of Madhya Pradesh to kindly address us.
Honorable the Chief Justice, my esteemed sisters and brothers on the bench in Jabalpur as well as from other benches, the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. This consultation and discussion which has been organized of 2 days, I congratulate my brother Justice Paul for that, because it will go a long way in instilling that sense of compassion in you, which is required for dealing with children. The child which is defined in the Pocso Act. There are various stakeholders in the Pocso Act. As far as the Act is concerned, the rules, everything is laid down, the schemes are there. All schemes are directed towards benefiting that particular child who is a victim of offense. Now there are various stakeholders such as there are police units, there are special courts, there are the National Commission, there are State Commission, there are child welfare committees, and there are doctors involved, and so many other persons. Now, all procedures, laws, rules are laid down, but still there is something wanting. And how do we deal to ensure that the benefit and the object of the rules, the laws, reach that particular child? Now, in my humble opinion, the best thing to do is that each of the stakeholder who is involved in this particular process as a stakeholder in the Act or rules is to invoke the sense of compassion in him or her. The moment you do that, you don't have to follow any rule or procedure laid down. That compassion will...
I take the honor of inviting our Chief Guest for this event, My Lord Shri Justice Ravi Malimat, Honorable Chief Justice High Court of Madhya Pradesh, to kindly address us.
Honorable Justice Shil Nagu, the Administrative Judge, High Court of Madhya Pradesh, Honorable Justice Vijay Paul, Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, Justice Sushil Dharmadhikari, Chairperson of the Pocso Committee, my esteemed sister and brother judges, Shri Ashok Shah, Additional Chief Secretary, State of Madhya Pradesh, Ms. Margaret Gowda, Chief of Field Office, UNICEF, Madhya Pradesh, other dignitaries and participants, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to everyone. We are gathered here today at the inauguration of the state consultation on effective implementation of the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 and the rules thereunder. It has been 10 years since the promulgation of this act. Although the aim of this 2-day state consultation and the larger consultation that is to follow is to plug loopholes in the implementation of the act, as a society, our ultimate aim must be to create an environment where every child is safe, such that the legislation is deemed redundant. Children are amongst the most vulnerable sections of society. They deserve a secure space, not just within the confines of their homes, but in every public space that they visit. To prevent such crimes, it is imperative to educate people about such crimes. The rules that came into effect in 2020 have provisions on the importance of generation of awareness about personal safety and dissemination of such information by the government in public spaces. It is important to go a step further. The onus must also be on the schools, the parents, and other caregivers to encourage open dialogue on these issues. For instance, schools that can set aside time on a regular basis and educate students on these crimes. physical education classes form a part of the curriculum in all schools. Physical safety should also be introduced as a part of the curriculum. Often, children are unaware that a crime has been perpetrated against them. Those that are aware are hesitant to disclose the act or the identity of the offender for fear of being chastised. According to data made available by the National Crime Records Bureau for the year 2020, the offender is someone who is known to the child in over 96% of reported Pocso cases across the country. The percentage for Madhya Pradesh stands at 97.9%. Hence, it is in only 3 to 4% of cases wherein the offender is a stranger to the child. In light of these alarming statistics, the reluctance and fear in the mind of the child is immeasurable and can only be dissipated through an environment of trust. Age-appropriate talks and discussions can be undertaken in a conscientious manner so as to sensitize and not scare the children. If the school does not have the expertise to deal with this, then think tanks, governmental or non-governmental organizations who are experts in the field should be consulted. The objective must be to embolden the children to speak out and fight back when faced with such a situation. Discussions and dialogue would help children to be aware and alert. It will encourage those who have been subjected to these heinous crimes to have their say and prevent further crimes from occurring. In addition to educating children, parents, caregivers and others in society must be sensitized against these crimes. Open dialogue is the only way to abolish the stigma associated with these crimes. Offices and workplaces are now mandated to organize sessions on prevention of sexual harassment against women at the workplace. It may be effective to also mandate sessions on Pocso. Primers on how to broach these topics with children, how to identify a child who has undergone abuse, and the requisite steps to be taken once the crimes are disclosed would equip parents and others to constructively react instead of neglecting the issue due to lack of information. Parents and other caregivers may be hesitant to complain, especially if the offender is someone known to the child or someone with whom there are familial or societal bonds. Instilling confidence in the parents and the other caregivers about the existence of a machinery that seeks to safeguard the child and punish the perpetrator would go a long way in dispelling the hesitation amongst parents to report the crimes and seek help at the appropriate time. Suppressing such a crime instead of reporting it may lead to long-term psychological effects on the child, and it may also lead to continued abuse. Further, it would give an impetus to the perpetrator to continue with the crimes. Timely reporting to ensure the physical and psychological well-being of a child is crucial. The State Legal Services Authority can also assist in making people aware of the legal options available to proceed against the perpetrators, especially that of monetary aid, which is available to the economically weaker sections of society. Emphasizing the severity and the consequences of these crimes through discussions at the workplace may also dissuade people from carrying out these crimes. The realization that children, their parents, or their caregivers are now aware and not averse to complaining may serve as a deterrent to anyone who had hitherto believed that they could get away with a crime against children. Statistics by the National Crime Records Bureau also reveal that Pocso cases have been steadily increasing, notwithstanding the pandemic and the lockdown. This is not very surprising, considering the statistics on the familiarity of the child with the offender and the fact that the internet usage and online presence of children had significantly increased during the pandemic due to schoolwork or otherwise. By virtue of the waning of the pandemic, schools have almost entirely shifted to the physical mode, and the usage of the internet by children should also be significantly reduced. Calls over the internet and access to chat rooms must be completely restricted so as to derail any unintentional and unsafe communication. It may also be prudent for parents to use a child lock and monitor the internet usage until children reach an age where they are able to assess the right from the wrong. It is essential for society as a whole to work together to destigmatize children who have suffered through sexual offences and enable them to express their thoughts. The more that we talk about it at schools, at workplaces, at gatherings, the lesser the stigmatization. Consequently, the chances of crimes such as these being brushed under the carpet decreases, leading to an increase in the reporting of such cases. This paves the way for provision of assistance and justice to the children. I wish all the stakeholders and participants of Manthan, the state consultation of effective implementation of the Pocso Act, the very best. I really look forward to hearing about the deliberations, the consultations, the suggestions, and all that we are going to decide during the course of these 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, my lord, for your valuable guidance. It will be our earnest endeavour to strive to create a safe environment for our children. I now request Shri Samresh Singh, Secretary, Juvenile Justice Committee, to give the vote of thanks.
My Lord Shri Justice Ravi Malvat, Honorable Chief Justice, High Court of Madhya Pradesh. My Lord Shri Justice Sheel Nagu, Honorable Administrative Judge, High Court of Madhya Pradesh. My Lord Shri Justice Sujoy Paul, Honorable Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Madhya Pradesh. My Lord Shri Justice Sushmit Arvind Dharmadhikari, Honorable Chairperson, Pocso Committee, High Court of Madhya Pradesh. Respected Mr. Ashok Shah, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Women and Child Development, Government of Madhya Pradesh. Respected Ms. Margaret Gwada, Chief of Field Office, UNICEF Bhopal. Honorable Judges of the High Court of Madhya Pradesh. Heads and representatives of stakeholder departments of Government of Madhya Pradesh. Registrar General High Court of Madhya Pradesh. Principal District and Session Judge Jabalpur. Presidents of Madhya Pradesh High Court Bar Association Jabalpur. High Court Advocates Bar Association Jabalpur. Senior Advocate Council Jabalpur. District Court Advocate Bar Association Jabalpur. Commissioner Jabalpur Division. IG and DIG Jabalpur. Collector Jabalpur. SP Jabalpur and other officers of Government of Madhya Pradesh, officers of Registry, MP SLSA, MP SJA, member of State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, distinguished guests, esteemed participants, member of print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen present in the auditorium, and audience attending the inaugural session virtually. A warm and graceful morning to everyone. I, Samresh Singh, Secretary of Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Madhya Pradesh, feel honoured and privileged to tender vote of thanks to all the dignitaries who have made it convenient